Hello and welcome to the Lorna Marie Fitness Podcast, the show where we talk all things fitness, health, mindset and lifestyle to help you become fitter, healthier and happier. I help busy people who lack time, motivation and self-belief to look and feel great again. If you want to work with me, head over to lornamariefitness.co.uk, but for now, enjoy this episode. Hello everyone and welcome to the Lorna Marie Fitness Podcast. I'm your host Lorna and today we have a very special episode with a very special lady, Lizzie. She absolutely embodies the whole spirit of LMF. Lizzie is a dedicated squaddie and she joined us back in August this year, and since then she has been on an incredible journey, not just with her health and fitness but also as a role model for others. Lizzie manages to juggle a really demanding career as a professional musician and coach with her commitment to fitness and setting a great example for her son and our entire community. Her story is one of determination, of personal growth and finding a balance between professional and personal life, because it really can be a juggle. So today we're going to talk about how she's managed to make this journey successful, overcoming challenges, staying motivated, and the importance of filling up her own cup. Lizzie will also share her insights on what it means to be a role model and how she balances it all. So grab a seat, settle in, and let's dive into today's episode with the amazing Lizzie.
So hello everyone, I am Lizzie Ball. I am a performing musician, violinist and singer, and also a performance coach.
Amazing. And that's something that you've got into more recently, isn't it, Lizzie? Into the coaching side of things.
Well, yeah, well, kind of. So basically, been a musician for over 25 years. It's also how I know some of the reason I'm in this amazing group of squaddies is because of Sarah Hewson, White, and of Emma Blanco, who are two amazing squaddies. Obviously, Sarah's on your team. And they got me into this through the Muso Mum group, which we have on Facebook. So yeah, that's literally one of the best things I've ever done. Thank you, Sarah and Emma, for that. And I've been a musician for the whole of my life. And in the pandemic, I trained as a coach because obviously, like a lot of us in music, we lost all our work. And with some of the loan money I got, I thought I might as well be in debt for a good reason. So with the remainder, when I'd sort of paid off all my bills, I was lucky to have a bit left, and I used it to do a training course for coaching. So since 2020, I've had, regular roster of private clients alongside my music work. But then what happened is sort of earlier this year, I decided that it would be really interesting to start niching in the area of high performance, and within that general like communication coaching, but with a very strong sort of specialism in performance anxiety in the workplace particularly.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. And it's funny how it just started off as something, well, just try and do this, and it spiraled into something you feel so passionate about that you really want to help people in this area, which I'd imagine being a performer is something that you've got a heck of a lot of experience in, and especially performing at your level as well. So if we go back in time a little bit, when did you decide that you first wanted to be a musician? Where did all this come from?
Yeah, I mean, I think people have asked me that a lot. I think it came from, I'll be honest, because, you always want to give the like, oh, I just like woke up one day and it was the violin. But actually, we lived we actually, and another reason I love that your group and where you're based, because I grew up not far away from you in Derbyshire, not far from Edale, actually, where you do your lovely challenge walks in the Peak District. So we were very rural. So we used to share like cars to school, because a lot of us lived in villages and there weren't sort of so many buses and things. And the guy that we gave a school lift to I was 7 and he was 10, and he had a violin, and I think I had a bit of a crush. So basically, I think that's why I came in one day. I was like, Mum, she said I came and was like, Mum, I want to play the violin like Peter. So I think it was only kind of like inspiration from the clouds. I think it was just I had my first schoolgirl crush.
That's brilliant.
I know, classic. But I mean, hey, look, whatever it takes to get started. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there you go. That was it. That was your motivation. And then obviously something else took over, unless Peter's still with you now and performing with you now.
Wouldn't that be the best story if we ended up getting married? And I don't know where he is now, bless him. But no, so I did start, I think, like that. But I did take to it without wanting to sound especially now I'm a mum myself, you can see when kids take to music or not. And I guess I was just one of those kids, I suppose. It just sort of was something that was meant to be in a way, I think.
Yeah, the natural talent. And
Yeah.
tell us about little Tommy then.
Yeah. Tommy, he just turned 3. So yeah, so I'm very open about this. So I am actually what we call ourselves solo mum by choice. So Tommy was conceived using donor sperm. So 100% solo mum. So for anyone listening out there who resonates, you know how hard parenthood could be. Yeah, there are definitely sort of elements of hard with doing it by yourself that are particularly extreme. But I think there's also perhaps not enough said about the journey I've taken that's really positive as well, because there's a lot of clarity you get with just being on your own doing it. Because it's only you making a lot of decisions. I think it's been a very interesting journey for my mindset in general. I think to sort of, because I think with you, Lorna, and all your amazing positivity about, and also I notice you're very good at like reframing and turning things around. I think that's something I've had to really learn to do. And I'm still not really sure I'm very good. I think it's a lifelong journey learning to do that, because it could be very easy with the journey I've chosen to just look at all the difficulty. And I try very hard not to. I don't always succeed, but I think it's important to see the other side as well, you know. So that's been an interesting journey, all of that.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you so much for sharing that with us as well. And I think it's something that more and more women are choosing to do,
Mm.
particularly now. I think a lot of people do go into kind of a career space first. I know I've got a lot of friends. I'm kind of at the age now where there's a big split. So a lot of
Yeah.
my friends are either going down the career route or they're choosing to have families. And I think there's a lot more women who are choosing to do the solo parenting later on, kind of after they've maybe done a lot of, I don't know, traveling with work or a lot of career stuff, and then are choosing to go into it. And I think it's, in a way, like it's even better because like it's like, oh, it's the best of both worlds, right? And you've had that time to really, really think and process it and what you want. And it's a total new chapter because, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, but you're learning so much about yourself on this journey as well.
Oh God, totally. Your instincts are completely right. I think yeah, I mean any woman, I think at any stage of life, particularly you get to a certain point. I think it because I'm sort of, you know, early mid 40s. So I think also at that stage of life anyway, as a woman, you go through a lot of change, or not even necessarily physical yet, but more just the mental stages of life as a woman are very particular, aren't they? I think we all have, they sort of say 7-year cycles, don't they? I do believe in that. I feel like we have that sense where you're sort of almost thinking, well, what am I doing now? And I think, you know, whether I become a mother or not, I'm pretty sure I would have still been at a certain crossroads mentally in a good way. Like I think the pandemic for a lot of musicians really forced our hand. I mean, if you put aside the general sort of financial trauma, let's face it, half the world went through that. So it's not unique, obviously, to people in music, but anyone freelance, you know, it was a struggle. So I think that aside, when we actually had the space and the time to look at what we were doing, I'm sure, you know, a lot of people resonate with this, that it was sort of in a way, weirdly, a good thing as well, even though the downside was just the actual survival. But I think it forced me to really look at my options as a person. I think when you have a vocational career, there's a danger it becomes your life to the point where it rules you. And I think I'm still psychologically dealing with that, really, is that I've made a shift to do what I would like to do, which is a half career, having half of both jobs. That's what I'm working towards. And I still get moments where I'm like, oh, but you know, you're a musician. It's like, yeah, but the whole point is that the two feed each other and you have to have one with, you know, but the psychology of particularly classical music can be quite negative. I think we're growing out of it, but the old way of teaching and this sort of almost like guilt filled, you should do this and that, and you should be practicing 6 hours a day. And it's not a good way to teach a young person, actually. And I think luckily those systems are becoming outdated, but I know a lot of us in that career would agree that it stays with you, you know, the early stuff from some of the teaching you have, which is helpful, but sides of it are not good for personal development, if that makes sense. So it's good to like be aware of that, I think, and not be shackled by it.
Yeah, gosh, so much of that resonated actually.
Did
Started
it?
from the beginning in and the pandemic where you said a lot of musicians' hands were forced. I think so many people in different industries had that, but fitness professionals in particular, you know, all gyms shut. So
Done.
many people went to and actually really unfortunately left the industry and did other jobs instead. And then other
Same.
people, you know, took the furlough. Other people, like well, myself, we went online. We just diversified. And I think sometimes, particularly, it sounds like for the both of us, it's for the better. I think sometimes if you're really determined to make something work, you will do everything in your power to make that work. And if you're very passionate about something, I think it does come across. And then also, I think it made me giggle there was when you said the perception of kind of exam boards and the way that classical style is taught. Well, I remember doing my singing grades. Like,
Yeah.
I'm by no means a fantastic singer. I used to be all right. I'm not anymore, probably. It might slip out in class sometimes, but I did. Sorry, this is totally off piece.
I love it.
I, I did my grades in singing. I can't even remember what grade I got up to, but the exam board, it was one that was toying with the idea of doing pop songs. And I did Ironic, the song Ironic for my grades, and another one. And so many people, so I went to Nottingham Girls High School, it's a great school. So many people looked down on that really badly. And I'd be like, oh, I'm grade 5, yeah, but what board? Like, oh, and then you felt really awful, like having to say it, but I still had to learn the same stuff.
Isn't that silly though? That's what I mean. All this stuff, it's so unimportant. I think, yeah, I mean, it's slightly better now, but I still think you do have that. Yeah, I mean, classical music's diversified enormously, even since I was in my 20s. You know, it's 20, I'm 43 now, so it's 20 years ago. And, you know, I know Emma and Sarah will, I'm sure, agree that, like, you know, this sort of change of direction, the fact that it's also almost normalized to have a cool classical music concert. But I mean, you really have to remember when we were doing it back in our 20s, no one was doing it. So, I mean, I created the first classical night of Ronnie Scott's in London called Classical Kicks, and they'd never done it. And it was such a moment because it was like, there was only really another night, and there was only non-classical, which is that was the very first sort of club night, classical night back in the East End. I can't remember where they started. Amazing organization who is still going strong, and they were the very first back in the sort of late 90s, early 2000s, I think. But apart from that, there was nothing. So when we started up, it was a buzz, and it was like, oh God, there's nothing. And now, of course, they're 10 a penny, but we didn't have Instagram. We didn't really, you know, so there's a lot of stuff I did I'm really proud of, but because of the way it was, we don't really have footage. You know, we did it in the room, you know, that's what you do with music. So I think now there's platforms for the young generation are doing really well at getting it out there, but I also feel like there's the older ones of us who've almost like helped pave the way, because I think, you know, it was a gradual path. So it's really great to see that it's been more accepted.
Yeah, definitely. Well, you're a trendsetter, Lizzie. But I would love to know how, obviously, you've got such a busy life. You're a mum, you're juggling 2 jobs, you work for yourself. How on earth do you fit your health and fitness in? And is this something that's always come quite easily?
No, I think, like, being totally transparent, because we obviously had a chat before we started this episode, I really fluctuate, and at times at the moment I'm in a struggle period, coming out of a struggle period and getting back to routine this week. But I was sort of saying to you earlier that I think the downsides of being a single mum of a young child that isn't yet in school is when illness strikes. I know all parents go, oh God, and raise their eyes, because they know in the winter when illness strikes, it's very challenging. And he's a nursery age child, so obviously he's getting everything. So it's tricky, because I think those are legitimate excuses for not being able to do anything else. Like when a toddler's sick, they are literally like, you need tending. You know, it's not like you can just leave them on the sofa. And, you know, so I think those moments have been challenging, and that means my routine completely falls out the window. I think I don't really have the same routine every day. I never have been a freelancer, which means I'm okay with being flexible. And I think, like we were saying earlier, it's kind of just I need to get better at being flexible with my mind and my approach, and realizing that it's almost like grab the time when you can. And I know that some of the squaddies are particularly good at that. And I definitely have my moments where I'm like, oh, I could do a workout now, or if I'm early to a rehearsal. Like, the great thing about your program is it's always there with you. So it's so brilliant, because I feel like that's what I love about this so much, is that you can do it anywhere, anytime, and there's not that reliance on you have to be there at, you know, 9 o'clock or whatever. So I think that has definitely helped me to break through my sort of barriers mentally about fitness, and just go, well, actually, there's no excuse. You can do it anywhere, anytime. And I think when I'm on a good curve, like pre the past few weeks, it was going so well, and I was doing up to sort of 5 a week, and couldn't quite believe I was doing that, because prior to that I've always been off and on. I'd say I was a runner in my 20s. I've always like enjoyed fitness. I've never been any good at what I'd call team sports. I'm really not a talented sports person, but I've always enjoyed sort of working out or kind of running. Yoga I've always been a huge fan of, and have done quite a lot through my life. So yeah, I'd say it's been a gentle journey for me, and something that in my later years I just feel that I want to do more, because I think you do get, it shows the wear and tear, Lorna, being in my 40s. I can't get away with anything anymore. It's like, if you don't do it, you feel rubbish. So yeah.
Oh no, I think what we were talking about before as well is, yeah, being flexible with being flexible. And I think a lot of this is coming down to acceptance, and acceptance that it isn't always going to be perfect. It's not always going to look pretty. Sometimes what we plan is just not going to go to plan, and knowing that that's okay, because what you do on a consistent basis, and kids are going to get ill and plans are going to go out of the window. But if in general, like, you are consistently turning up for yourself 3 times a week, no matter when that is, no matter what that looks like. And we were saying, it's about changing a routine. So when Tommy's going to nursery, right, that is mum's time. No matter how you feel, showing up for yourself. And on the days where actually you're completely and utterly drained, because maybe you've had a lot on with Tommy or performing or work, we just change the workout. So we do something more restorative, but you're still showing up for you, which speaks in volumes. It means so much.
Such a lovely way of putting it, I think, because I think what can stop me showing up in those moments is if I think, oh, but I need to do a strength. It's like, no, you're knackered, you need to do half an hour of yoga. So I think that can often happen to me, for sure, where you sort of almost put at the worst point to put pressure on yourself, you do, and it's like, about your body's aching and you actually need to stretch it out for half an hour, and then tomorrow you'll feel like doing strength. So it's that kind of thing, isn't it, of like, actually think logically about where you're at. And again, that comes down to sort of, I think, as a musician, like a lot of people resonate with this, I'm very hard on myself. It's something that I'm very good at coaching others not to be. But like, I'm still learning my own journey with that. So I think it's not a helpful part of that kind of career where you've got to be particularly good at one thing and do it really well. That can translate into being incredibly perfectionist in every area of your life. And of course, as you say, like, life just isn't like that. So that's been my journey with all this, I think, is just to sort of go, oh, sod it. And also to try new things. I've always been a bit shy of like I never, ever, you won't believe this, Lorna, I have never done Zumba until I joined your program. Never.
Oh my gosh, really?
No, I never did it. Because I don't know, I guess it just kind of passed me by, and then I never did it. And then I was like, oh, I don't know what to do. I'm not going to do a Zumba class. And then I joined you, and I was like, so I did do my first Zumba class about a month ago, and was like, I had no idea. Like, it was really funny because you were, oh, this is quite old school. And I was like, I don't know what that is. Brilliant, because I could tell everyone on the class like that I was watching, because it was on demand. I was like, I'm sure I am the first person ever that's come here, but I got it. It was brilliant. It was brilliant.
Oh, that's great. Have you tried the new dance fitness as well?
No, I've got to. I know. I can see it looming. I think it's going to be on my list this week. Snap me out of my post-illness lull.
You will love it. It is one of those where then a song will come on and you'll just be dancing around the kitchen. It's so good. But I think that's actually a really important point, though. Like, doing the stuff that we do, you're in the comfort of your own home. No one's watching or judging. And even if you do go to the live, no one cares anyway. If you go one way and everyone's going the other way, no one will know. Just say your camera's backwards. It's fine. It just doesn't matter. But it's nice that you've gone outside your comfort zone and tried new things. Because although I can feel you're a perfectionist. I know you are, and it does come with the job, and it also just comes with personality type as well. Yeah. But it is so good to see that you are constantly looking for ways to push yourself outside your comfort zone. And some of that does come down to trying new things, and some of it comes down to giving yourself permission to deviate and give yourself permission to actually listen to your body and what it needs. Yeah. Because there is we all know the line between, all right, I can't actually be bothered to do this, and then actually this just isn't the right thing for me right now. And sometimes if we have planned that in, that right, today is strength and this is what I am doing, and if I don't do it, I'm going to be a failure, but my body is screaming. Yeah. It's actually a win and a huge step forward to listen to your body and be like, no, this is what I need today. And that's a massive mindset shift.
You're so right. Isn't it funny how we're just not taught that way of thinking, really? It's like we have to learn it later in life, when we really would have done with it when we're much younger, into your brain. I feel like, and you're so right when you mentioned earlier about, Tommy watching me work out sometimes if he's here and there's no other way to do it. And you're right. You know, I feel quite proud that he knows what that word is, and he knows your name, and he like sees you on videos, and he's like, Lord, and he like says hello because he thinks that you're on the, you know, because usually I do on demand. He thinks you're there, and he's like, isn't she waving? And I'm like, oh, I think she can feel you. She's just busy with it, you know. But so it's quite sweet, you know, that I love that he knows there's something there that, because at his age, all he notices is I'm happy afterwards. And that's what's quite sweet about a young child, is that I said one thing I think that's been a huge win for me since I've joined is, you know, discounting the ups and downs of life, like the overarching sense of being happier has been overpowering for me. And it's just simply been down to doing more exercise and feeling better. Even just that simple thing. Like I noticed, particularly when I was about 3 weeks into the 6-week, you know, first proper 6-week challenge I did. We just, our relationship improved. And I was like, oh, how interesting. And I really remember there was a point, I was doing one of my check-in calls with one of the team, and I said, I really noticed this with Laura, I think it was. And I said, I really noticed, Laura, like there's a shift, like there's less angst between us, because, you know, young kids can be triggering and it's hard, and sometimes you just don't have the patience and you don't parent particularly well, and it's not, you don't always have the best day, you know. But I was noticing my responses were changing, and that for me is amazing, that was like a side result, but obviously like one of the most important things. Do you know what I mean? So that's been really interesting.
Wow, how incredible is that? And that's just, yeah, an example of filling up your cup, and how you then show up as your better self for everybody else and everything. Yeah. That's absolutely amazing. Yeah. And
sorry, I was going to say, I saw something about filling your cup. It's so funny you said that. There was someone on Instagram who posted actually last night. She said something about you fill your cup, like you fill your cup not because you want to be better for others, but because actually don't you deserve to fill your cup? You know, it's almost like there's that as well as what else is in your life. Like, isn't that just about living? You know? And I was like, yeah, because it's so easy as a woman, particularly just, you know, we're naturally built to sort of do things for others always. And it's like, but hang on, how about just like doing it for you? And isn't that actually an okay reason to do it? You know, and I thought that was quite powerful.
Definitely. Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. That's a really, really good point. Right. And I think also you're showing Tommy that it's really important for mum to do her exercise, and it's really important for you to look after your health and fitness. So he will grow up thinking that it's really important to do my exercise and to look after my health and fitness before I do everything else. So you're passing that down as well. So it's only going to be having a positive knock-on effect on his quality of life too, as well as your own. And that's something we kind of forget about, I think, and take for granted. But it's amazing what you're doing.
Oh, back at you.
So Lizzie, what's next for you? What are your main goals, kind of, both with your health and fitness and then with what you're doing at the moment? Because I know at the moment you are, like you said, you're working on the coaching side of things as well as doing your performing. So how does that all look for you?
Yeah. So I think with health and fitness, it's a little like I think it's probably about the mindset hack, actually, because I've proven to myself since August that I've been fairly consistent in showing up. But mostly that's when I've got my mindset right. So I think it is about like what you just said, just sort of reframing those responses in the moment, sort of going, well, actually, you know, there's actually something, it relates to my coaching. There's something that we use in performance anxiety coaching, which is an incredibly useful tool for life, which is a thing called positive self-talk. I'm sure you know about this as a coach yourself. So the way that we start to hack into the deep anxiety with performance. And by the way, my coaching now really covers a lot of people in corporate and business. So it's about, some of my clients at the moment are people who are really struggling with having to give a conference or a presentation. Any performance, whatever the context, the same thing will happen to your body. You know, the nervous system will go into fight or flight, all those things that, you know, are very much a physical response, a physiological response. And one of the things that will always happen is that you start to talk yourself down mentally. It's a classic, and it always happens in the moment, maybe just before you're going to go on. You're in this terrible negative loop in your head. And that's often what a lot of performers say derails them, is that they get up there and there's a voice going, you just can't do this, what are you doing? And they just freeze. So something that you can practice is a daily thing that's quite cool, which is that you reframe those thoughts as they come up. So say somebody is worried about a conference or something, they'll go in their head, oh, I can't do this. What if I freeze? You answer yourself as if you're another person. So you basically go, well, what if you don't? what if it is possible? And of course, it's that thing of like, don't talk to yourself in the mirror, you know, you're going mad. I highly recommend that you do it out loud or however suits you. So depending on the client, some people like to speak out loud. But I find that as a tool is a really helpful thing in general, because I think all of us go through mindset challenges. And what you were just saying as well, sort of, I think probably I need to apply that to myself a bit more in the realm of the fitness thing is, you know, oh, you know, I can't do this, or I've got to, you know, well, actually, what if you just did like 10 minutes or, you know, and I think it's just that reframe of realizing that even 10 minutes or something is going to make a huge impact to my day.
Yeah.
But the self-taught thing, yeah, it's a very interesting and it's a recognized form of therapy for chronic performance anxiety. There's different levels of it that you can apply, but it's a very interesting technique that's been proven to work over time. To help, you know. So yeah.
I really like
And in
that.
terms of my career, yeah, I mean, I think I had some really great news recently. Actually, since we spoke, I've been hired by a fantastic company as an associate. So I'm now an associate for a communication company that, that specialize in this area. So they are communication coaching in the workplace, and they do everything from one-on-one coaching to you know, trainings and repeat trainings in businesses and all kinds of really interesting stuff. There's 16 of us, I think 16 associates. So everyone has an amazing different skill set. So my boss is incredible. She's very, very inspiring. And she has hired everyone on the basis of them being completely unique, but together, like I can imagine the team together would be quite something. I literally just got hired in the past month, so I'm really excited. It's early days, but there's already some work coming in from them. And I've been working really hard on my own coaching to kind of get up the level of performance coaching that I want to be, so I feel the best I can be for my clients. So that's, I think at the moment, that is sort of a focus that I'm really prioritizing. But my music, funnily enough, as often as the way when you take your eye off something, sometimes things come and you didn't realize they were going to come. So I've also got a few really exciting opportunities next year, my music. One of which will be starring alongside Claire Teal, who's obviously a very well-known jazz singer. She's a bit of a household name. So she's going to have me as a special guest at a big festival next year. And so there's things like that that just came up. And I was like, wow, that's great. And so there's still, I've got quite a lot going on with the music. But because that's been 25 years, it ticks a bit more, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm not pushing it. I'm not as busy there, but it's sort of how I want it to be, because I want to make room for this other thing so that, as I say, it's ideally a 50-50. You know, so a bit more flexibility with my choices really is my goal. I just want to be more in control of my days and my time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow. That all sounds absolutely amazing. And huge congratulations on both of those parts. That's great. I'm guessing you're going to be taking us with you then. We will definitely be going in your bag, traveling around with you wherever you go. Oh, that's really amazing, Lizzie. And thank you for sharing the idea as well of, I call it flipping a thought. Flipping a thought. And I love the idea of what you were saying. Some people like to speak it out loud, because I think that makes subconscious conscious. So then you actually kind of hear it out loud, or even if you write it down on a piece of paper and see it, it's going from in here to out there, isn't it?
Totally. Yeah.
Gosh, it's been such an inspiring conversation.
Aww.
Thank you so much, Lizzie. I really enjoyed this. I could talk to you all day.
Yeah, let's have coffee. No, we don't have time.
No, definitely come for coffee whenever you're up, whenever you're passing or going home to Derby or Derbyshire.
God.
Pop in. Or are you coming to the party, the 5-year one?
Coming. Can't wait. I've got visions. I've got dreams of everyone suddenly breaking out into like some kind of dance routine from one of your classes on the dance.
Well, I mean, this is the plan. Yeah, this is what I'm thinking with dance fitness. So you're obviously going to join in.
Yeah, obs.
Oh, thanks so much, Lizzie. Thank you for joining me. And as well with your coaching, is there anywhere, and the music, is there anywhere that people can follow you on social?
Yeah, so if you follow me on Instagram, that's probably your best place. I am Lizzie Ball Music. And my sort of my own venture for coaching is Set Your Stage Coaching. So there's two on Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn with my coaching. I sort of tend to do most of my kind of posting or social stuff there on LinkedIn, just under my name, Lizzie Ball. But yeah, I can also, I'll put some, hopefully we can post some links up or something somewhere. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Well, in the podcast, I can put them in the notes. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Well, let's do that. Perfect.
Oh, oh, thanks so much, Lizzie.